everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today to learn about our top 10 tips for driving customer demand. My name is Shanann Monaghan.
And I'm Seema Risby.
Seema and I work at Google Cloud building upsell and cross-sell programs across our portfolio of products. And we are very excited to share with all of you today our top tips for building a powerful upsell engine that drives value for your customers and revenue for your business. If you're just getting started with building upsell programs and campaigns, our tips are laid out in sort of our suggested order of operations. So tip number 1 is your starting point, and then we sort of layer on with 2, 3, 4, etc., until you have a well-built upsell engine by tip number 10. And if you're already an upselling expert, hopefully we'll have a couple new ideas for you today. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right in to tip number 1. Outline your vision for customer growth. This tip is really a foundational starting point. What are you trying to build? How will it help your business? For most businesses, you reach a tipping point where your current customer base becomes big enough that it can be driving equal or more revenue than your net new prospects. This is when it becomes critical for marketing to build a truly full funnel lead generation engine. You're not only acquiring new businesses, but you're also engaging and growing your existing customer base. The image here gives you a look at that full funnel marketing engine. All marketing organizations start with prospecting and acquiring new business. But over time, you need to invest in engaging and growing your existing customer base as well. And ultimately, customers who are engaged and growing will become your advocates.
Great. And now to tip number 2, find your upsell champions. As you build out your upsell engine, it is critical to find advocates who understand why upsell is a key revenue driver and will support building out the engine to drive customer growth. Minimally, you need alignment and buy-in from sales, operations, and customer success. Here are some things you want to consider at this stage. Trial a few upsell programs to see what works and what doesn't, both for engaging customers, but also to identify potential gaps in process and operations. With some wins, you'll build momentum and interest in upsell. Once you've demonstrated some success, consider creating an upsell council across key stakeholders to formally align on goals, process, funnel stage definitions, and criteria. Ultimately, you want to get to a place where upsell goals are part of the overall demand goals for the business, with different teams goaled on and accountable for upsell, whether it's marketing, the sales team, customer success, the SDR and BDR team. Having upsell goals across the business drives shared accountability and sets you up for success.
That's such a great point, Seema. I love the upsell council. This was something that was super successful for us, something that we did every single month and drove a ton of alignment for our organization. All right, so let's move on to tip number 3. Organize your customer data. You really can't run any interesting or sophisticated upsell programs without having access to organized and trackable customer data. Make sure you're tracking customer data points such as demographics, so location, job title, product usage by what products and features they're using or how often they're in the product, segmentation by industry or business size, and of course, customer lifecycle. Are they onboarding? Are they coming up for renewal, etc.? A mistake I've seen at many companies is that they jump right in and they start planning and building and wanting to execute upsell campaigns, but they quickly realize that they don't have their data or operations in a place to support this. So the big tip here really is become best friends with your internal data team or your internal operations team, because these are the people who are really going to make it possible for you to have all of the infrastructure in place to be running your campaigns.
That is so important, Shannon. Just having data undergird your engine, right? And so to really be that foundation to driving why you're doing what you're doing. Tip number 4. So map your personas and your customer journey. An important step to building out your customer demand engine is to deeply understand your audience. And at the end of the day, we are talking to another human. So doing the work to build out your personas and customer journey is really critical. Who are your key personas? These could include decision makers, your stakeholders and influencers, as well as your users. And you really do want to understand, what are they in charge of? What do they care about? What keeps them up at night? And how does your product or solution solve for that? I would encourage anyone who is working on customer demand to find opportunities to speak with customers directly. What was their journey to your product or solution? What were they looking to solve for, and why did they come to you? And importantly, for driving customer growth, what are they looking to do next? So, in addition to building out your personas, it's also very important to map out your customer journey in order to understand what is the best next new product or use case to surface to your customers. Data, again, is critical here. So work cross-functionally to gather insights from product marketing and customer-facing teams, as well as rely on product usage data to understand, for example, product overlaps and key product clusters that drive growth.
Awesome. Yes, totally agree. Thinking about your personas so that you really understand the human that you're connecting with can bring so much life to your marketing. All right, halfway point. Let's talk about tip number 5, leverage data for propensity models. This one's really interesting. So because you've collected so many interesting insights about your customers, you can now leverage data to target the right message to the right person. The goal here really is to ensure you are being helpful and considerate around your upsell tactics. You don't just want to blast your entire customer database with offers. You want to understand who has high, medium, or low propensity for the products or services you provide. We use propensity models for all of our cross-sell campaigns. If a user has X product, how likely are they to be interested in Y? If data shows us that they have a high likelihood to be interested, then we include them in our campaign. This is an always on, ongoing model. So this month, a user might not show a high propensity for a certain product, but maybe 6 months from now, they've showed more interest. The propensity model puts them in the high or medium category, and then they get added into our campaign, which is everything from emails, ads, webinars, etc. But really, ultimately, the goal here, again, with propensity models is you're targeting this timing at the right time for the right user, and you're being really thoughtful with your approach using data.
It's all about data, isn't it, Shannon? So now we get to tip 6, create content customers find engaging. So now that you know who you're talking to, make sure you're creating content that customers will find valuable. And to Shannon's point, be able to deliver the right message at the right time. Remember, customers, particularly users, will have some familiarity with your product. We have found by and large that customers respond well to and engage with educational and how-to content. Blogs and short videos are a great format for this. Product deep dives. This could be a technical deep dive depending on your product and audience. So go deep with a subject matter expert into a key feature. Your customers will really eat that up. Product features and launches. Again, build programs to highlight your new features and launches and engage your customers with opportunities to speak with those product experts. Learning from other customers. This is something that I think is so valuable to your customer base. So consider customer roundtables or webinars and giving customers the opportunity to learn from one another. What they did, what worked, but also what didn't work, and maybe what they would have done differently. This can kickstart new upsell opportunities or accelerate ops through the funnel. The key takeaway here is to ensure that whatever content or program experience you're building, it is providing value to your customers. Ultimately, if you're providing value and you're building trust and connection, your customers will come back to you and grow with you. And I think, as we said before, like these MQLs and ops, they're people that you're really talking to and engaging with. And so to keep that in the back of your mind as you build out your programs, I think is always critical.
That's so great, Seema. And yes, content is the fuel for your campaign. So make sure you are really building the right content for your customers. All right, let's move into tip number 7, lean into new marketing channels. This is a fun one. What I like about this is that you have the opportunity and chance to leverage new types of marketing channels with customers and just really connect in different ways. So one of my personal favorite channels is in product. In product banners or notifications are incredibly effective and engaging. We are very thoughtful about what we put in product. We're not just going to put anything in there. So it usually needs to be something like a tier 1 event or a targeted learning opportunity for us to put it in product. A great software that we've used to run our in-product messaging is called Pendo. It's really easy as a marketer to go into Pendo, build and set up your actual banner or notification, set up the targeting for your guide. Once we have it all set up, then we can work with our product or design teams to review it and make sure everything looks good before we actually push it live. And then once it is live, we can go back into Pendo to see metrics like views and clicks and evaluate the overall performance. So overall, we've seen our in-product promotions perform extremely well compared to other channels. Again, I would be thoughtful about what you put in product, but if it's going to be really valuable for your customer base, this is a great channel to use. Other marketing channels that you might want to lean into are things like online communities, user groups, or conferences. These are great opportunities to really engage deeply with your existing customers.
Great. And tip number 8. We've talked a lot about building the right content, building the right programs, really finding ways to engage with your customers. Here, we're really focused on investing in your biggest customers. And in a way, this is fairly straightforward, right? You want to identify which of your large accounts you can grow and then build those thoughtful programs to really engage them and grow them. Really critical to this work is partnering with sales and customer success and other stakeholders, whether it's customer or sales engineering, to build that target account list and then work closely to build the right programs, the right content, and create shared accountability through shared goals. And this really helps set you up for success in growing those target accounts and strategic accounts. A program we found to be really successful with our strategic accounts was something that we called our Looker Data Days. These were 90-minute sessions. They featured customer speakers from the account, so it provided a way for our customers to be subject matter experts within their organization. We also tapped into our own product experts to present on areas that we knew that the customer was interested in learning more about, and always provided a relevant demo. This is really a great way to drive expansion opportunities, not only to grow within an account, but also to tap into subsidiaries, especially with a large enterprise account, by demonstrating that broader value that your product has to the larger account itself.
That's great. It's always so valuable to invest in those really strategic customers and have some of those high touch programs around it to drive value and growth. All right, we are now down to our final 2 tips. So let's talk about tip number 9, educate your team on customer follow-up. All right, so what I mean here is that prospects and customers should not be treated the same. Oftentimes, your sales development team is trained on all things prospecting. It's important to work together to develop a thoughtful approach for customer conversations. Be sure your team is getting alignment with AEs and CSMs. They're leveraging existing CRM notes, and they're digging into things like product usage or existing pain points before reaching out to customers. We have an incredibly close relationship between marketing and our sales development team. We sync with them bi-weekly. We review upcoming campaigns with them. We get feedback from them on our upsell scripts, how the messaging is resonating on calls. We also check in on our upsell numbers and how our teams are tracking towards our shared goals. I think having this alignment and collaboration is just so important for upselling success and making sure that you're really working together to hit those metrics and hit those goals that drive revenue for your business are going to look amazing for your executive team. All right, Seema, now I'm handing it over to you for our final tip.
Yes, and all of this discussion around goals and alignment, it's really to get to tip number 10, to showcase your wins. This is really all about the numbers, and it's your opportunity to shine. The key piece here is showing that you are driving the business forward. So we have generally focused on MQLs, marketing qualified leads. Remember, that is a person on the other end of that, opportunities, and sourced and influenced pipeline as our high level KPIs, because that's what matters most to the business. It is critical that whatever you're reporting on, you've aligned across the business on your success metrics. A couple of tips: build a consistent cadence for highlighting your work, whether it is a regular sales and marketing meeting, or a demand meeting, or a newsletter, or a quarterly recap. Make sure that you're consistently sharing what you're doing. Focus on the high-level numbers for your leadership team. You can dive into the details with your smaller teams to find ways to optimize your programs, but at the leadership level, they want to know what is driving the business. At the end of the day, upsell is a critical revenue driver, and you will want to be formally part of any sort of pipeline or demand council so that there's visibility and accountability across the business. Hopefully, the tips and steps we've outlined here will help you get there.
Awesome. Thanks, Seema. And yes, be sure to have those metrics in dashboards that you can show across the business, because I think that's the big thing here, right? What you're doing when you're building these upsell, cross-sell programs is driving revenue for your business. And you want to show how you're creating those leads, how you're creating those opportunities, and how you're driving pipeline. And that's just going to show how valuable the work you're doing is. All right, so those are our top tips, and let's quickly recap and go through them. Number 1, outline your vision for customer growth. Number 2, find your upsell champions. Number 3, organize your customer data. Number 4, map personas and your customer journey. Number 5, leverage data for propensity models. 6, create content that customers find engaging. Number 7, lean into new marketing channels like in product. Number 8, invest in your biggest customers. Number 9, educate your team on customer follow-up. And finally, number 10, showcase your wins. I hope that some of this was helpful, that you've either learned some new ideas or you've been inspired to build your own upsell, cross-sell marketing engine that will help drive value for your customers and revenue for your business.
Thank you all for listening in, and feel free to connect with Shannon and I on LinkedIn. We would love to learn from each of you and continue to share ideas on how to drive that upsell engine.
Yeah, definitely reach out and connect. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.